Hi, everybody. That video was to the song One Voice by the Waylon Jennings. And it's a beautiful song, and Sky and I put the video together. All the images of animals are either from sanctuaries, primarily Catskill Animal Sanctuary and Farm Sanctuary, Equine Advocates, and a wolf conservation sanctuary. Also, the photographs of deer were from animal advocates. There's a woman named Chris Taylor who has an incredible body of work called Wild Love Photography. And anyway, and the goats that are hugging, that's also by an animal advocate, Joanne MacArthur. So it was a joy putting the video together. And the beautiful song by the Waylon Jennings. So, before I start the talk, I just want to say no groundhogs were harmed or exploited for the purpose of this talk. So, as many of you know, I really love groundhogs. I love all animals, but groundhogs have a special place in my heart. So when Carmen asked if I would do a talk for this month while she was away, I was really happy when I realized that the first Sunday of the month was Groundhog Day. So that seemed perfect for me. And also, as some of you know, I really love winter. And it's strange for me because I'm around a lot of people who are like, I can't wait till this is over. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Because I really love the winter. And to me, it's a very mysterious and magical time. And groundhogs are one of the true hibernators. So when I walk on the ground, I think of them 6 feet into the earth, like sleeping, in deep, deep hibernation, like literally kind of holding space. So what I'd like to do today is look at the spirit of Groundhog Day from two perspectives. First, to consider the Groundhog Day story and what it can represent in the spiritual journey of our lives and in our relationship to the world. And the second, in looking at the spiritual lessons we can learn from the animals in nature that the story is supposed to be about. During my animal chaplaincy studies, one of our first assignments was to do a series of blessings. And so my focus was on groundhogs. So I'm going to draw from that a little bit. I'm going to just read a little bit from that, why I bless groundhogs. I've always felt a fondness for groundhogs and a deep respect and connection to this peaceful vegetarian who is also a brilliant architect and creative artist in nature. Groundhogs also, in general, must navigate risk and violence in human populations where they are sometimes reviled and threatened, perceived as pests, regarded as disposable, as well as exploited in entertainment for live Groundhog Day events in some zoos. And to be clear, I love the celebration aspect of Groundhog Day, and I think there's great ways we can do it, like with parades and things, but we have to find a way not to bring living being, to take another living being hostage so we can wear funny hats. But anyway, so the history of the story of Groundhog Day, as far as I've been able to find, it originates with a celebration called Candlemas, I think that's how you pronounce it, which fell between winter solstice and the spring equinox. I read that it was initially rooted in Celtic celebrations and then later became part of German folklore. And the story was that a badger would see, if they would see their shadow, there would be a longer winter because they would run away in fear of their shadow, which of course no animal does. But but whatever. This is, all human stories about animals are very much all about what is going on with us, I think. And then if the day is cloudy and the badger doesn't see a shadow, he or she stays above ground and thus in early spring. So when the German settlers came into Pennsylvania, they brought this folklore with them, but then realizing there are no badgers in Pennsylvania, they, I guess, turned to the next best thing, which were groundhogs. And a quick fact check, at least groundhogs living in New England, they hibernate from October to March. And if they come out in February, it would be at the very end of February, or because it is, in fact, in early spring. Again, they don't run from their shadows. They're not hiding from the winter. They're hibernating, which is a state of being. And also, it took me years to realize that 6 more weeks of winter and an early spring are the same thing. So it took me a long time to figure that out. So basically, one of the things that's interesting to me, because growing up, I really loved all these, I loved all the stories that used animals as avatars or as metaphor, and we do it all the time, humans, whether it's the groundhog or Santa's reindeer, the Easter bunny, or different superstitions we have about black cats being bad luck. What else? Mascots. Animals in fiction. I think this is just my feeling about it. I think we so long to connect with these animals. We see them. We can feel their energy. We feel this longing to be with them, and we kind of don't know how to do that. And because, we try to enter either their physical, we try to make it a physical reality. Instead of the way to connect with them is through deeper understanding, And the other thing we do with animals is we project ourselves onto them, again in stories, and we project human stories onto them as a way of processing things that we maybe don't know how to process as a community. And then the third thing we do is, we kind of maybe don't know how to live in coexistence with them, so we want to control them, which we do with other humans as well. We don't just do it with animals, obviously. It's just sometimes it's easier to do it with animals. But so we want to, we try to fit them into our narrative, or have dominance over them, so they are, that we're interjecting ourselves into theirs. There's a great poem, which I won't read here, but it's by Denise Levertov, and she talks about seeing this morning glory and how beautiful it is, and how her heart is so filled with awe and amazement, seeing the flower's beauty. And she goes to take the petal to open it more, and she wants to hold the flower close to her heart, because she just she feels the power and the beauty of this flower, and in doing so she kills the flower. And she says, I had not thought myself a jailer, when trying to take the flower to just to have it, because she's responding to wow, what is this amazing thing? So I want to just start with that, and then I'm going to look at with the spiritual nature for me of the groundhog story. This question of seeing our shadow and the promise of a coming spring. So I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Groundhog Day. Again. But, the premise is that they use the story of Groundhog Day to say that, the character, again, this movie is over 30 years old, so they did, in fact, have a real groundhog in it. They didn't have a CGI groundhog. But the character wakes up every day, and it's the same day. It's the same day over and over, and it's a day that he doesn't want to be reliving. But he's reliving it over and over, no matter what he does, because he's actually trying to change the day. So he's trying to change all the things around the day, like, and it's about every single thing he tries until it changes when he changes himself. When there's a shift in himself in an expression of love for others. And so when I think of that applied to our, our shadow self, the things that our shadow beliefs, that keep us maybe being in the same day over and over in certain areas of our life, maybe with regards to, and how unity principles at work, can envision coming of spring. So I have a spiritual practice that I did for myself, and I recommend it. It's where I put 2 columns. One about my shadow beliefs, not only about myself, but maybe about the world, and the other about like what the coming of spring looks like to me, not just about for myself, but like in relationship to the larger world. And it was very revealing because, some of my, shadow beliefs, some of them are maybe my beliefs, but some of them are just beliefs that I've just inherited from the culture I live in. I remember in animal chaplaincy class, we had to agree on these 10 tenets before we could start the class. And one of them was that we envision a peaceful world of nonviolence. And there were people in the class who said, I can't do that because I don't believe it's possible. And so we actually it created a lot of dialogue, and it made you really reflect, like, do I really, believe that, or am I holding a belief that, that humans are inherently violent, or, it really made me go deeper. Thus, the groundhog, we'll go back, because the way groundhogs, a groundhog can't live in winter. That the groundhog is a vegetarian, so the winter weather is a hostile climate for them. So they go deeper. They dig deep and they slow way down. And so with regards to like really looking at what are my shadow beliefs, what are the things that I see and like turn away from, not just in myself, fear I have that I carry that may or may not make sense, and concepts I have about the world that may or may not be true. How often do I really consider these? And so I made a column where I put that, and I just started reflecting and creating prayer and affirmation around each of these. And then in the side of what does the coming of spring look like to me? The amazing thing about our human existence is that we have this capacity to imagine and create, just as, unity teaches us. And so in order for us to have the world a peaceful world, or the world we want to live in, we have to, we don't have to, we get to imagine and create what the coming of spring looks like for us. So to me, that means growth, awakening, abundance, in myself, but then in the larger world, like, and in my relationship to the world, what does the coming of spring look like? And can I recognize the coming of spring in those around me? Recognizing the coming of spring in people, animals, nature, it also affirms it in myself. And so, to bring it back to the groundhog and look at the their life, maybe as a spiritual lesson to draw from. Like I said, they hibernate, and they do so not like they're not hiding from winter. I think this is like it's such a human concept. The animals are hiding from winter because like they're afraid of it. We're made up of everything on this earth. All the animals are made up of the same materials, and including us. Like we're not made up of different material than the winter or the summer or the trees. We're all made up of the same material. So we're not like foreigners going like, I don't recognize this. This weather is not, this is not of me. I'm allergic to it or whatever. It's not, we're not allergic to our planet. We are one. We are one voice. So what I love about the concept of hibernation is that they're going really deep. They lower their body temperature to like 40 degrees. They lower their heartbeat to 4 beats per minute. I mean, you talk about divine intelligence. I mean, that is phenomenal meditation. So they're like in this state of just like holding space. They're like existing within the soil, within the earth, and just restoring themselves, until it's time to come out in the spring. And I look to that as a lesson to take for my own spiritual life. And when they emerge, they bring their, even regardless of how many people may not like them, they bring their immense creativity, their stewardship of the environment, and their peaceful coexistence with other species. That's what they mirror for us. And it's no, I know people get angry because they eat the garden, but they don't know that that we think it's just for us. They think it's for everybody, because it kind of is. So I guess, what I'd like to close with is how I like to take the lessons of hibernation and the lessons of the coming of spring and explore the ways in our own lives that we can be more mindful and embrace the spirit of Groundhog Day, and even wear the funny hats, because those are. But to really look at what it means to look at our shadow beliefs and really examine like what does the coming of spring look like to me, and spending time with that. And so that's really that's pretty much it. I have I'll close with the actual blessing that I wrote for my animal chaplaincy class, and then we'll go into meditation. And I will, I guess, as part of sharing a little bit about my Unity experience, it's only, my love for animals was always like this secret love, like where I was always embarrassed to be really vocal about I was doing animal advocacy, but where I really celebrated animals like out loud and just said, it's so amazing that we get to share our lives with these magnificent individuals, that I didn't give praise to it. And that's through Unity. Unity gave me the freedom to just let that part of myself be. And so through that I found the animal chaplaincy studies. And so this is the blessing for the groundhog. This is how I choose to celebrate Groundhog Day. And then after this, we'll go into a meditation. Blessed groundhog, master architect, brilliant creative, most generous of artists, and beloved animal kin. Thank you for the gift of your burrowed home and tending the earth where we live. You grace our lives and lift our spirits with your being. Blessed lover of plants and vegetables, fruits, flowers, nuts, seeds, bark, and wood, may abundance sustain and nourish your health to keep you and your loved ones strong through all seasons and in hibernation. May your burrow be sheltered and protected from harsh weather, predators, and human interference. Blessed fellow traveler on this earth, who is called groundhog and other names, such as woodchuck and whistlepig, who peacefully shares this habitat with other animals and winged beings, as well as with human animals. May you be safe, may you be free, may you live all of your days and nights in the peace and joy of being, always. Many blessings upon you, groundhog. May you and your species be appreciated and understood. Amen. And we're going to go into a short meditation. Getting settled in. We welcome this day and the time of year when new growth is underneath the frozen soil, waiting for the coming of spring. We welcome our teacher in nature and other species who mirror God's wisdom in their lives and in the way they are in relation to the world. We take these lessons and these observations and we breathe and allow them to be part of our experience and our wisdom. We're grateful for each other. We're grateful for this opportunity to be on the planet and to learn, to praise and celebrate, and to explore all the possible ways for creating the coming of spring in our consciousness, in our personal lives, and in the world we live in. We recognize that our shadow beliefs are just that. They are shadows. And we deepen our affirmations so that we might see more clearly and might release their power in our lives. We thank our shadow beliefs for teaching us, and we recognize the shadow beliefs in others, that they too are on the same type of journey. And we see the coming of spring in them as well. We're grateful for the winter and the opportunity to rest and be restored, to hibernate. And we're grateful knowing that spring is coming for new growth, abundance, and a new experience of our spiritual journey in the world we love so much. bless our beautiful earth and all the individuals on it of all species, including humans, with our love and the divine expression of God in what we say and do. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ellie. That was so beautiful. Always so appreciate that focus. It reminds me of a story I heard yesterday on NPR. You might have heard it. It was all about Groundhog Day, and it was about this guy battling groundhogs with his vegetable garden. And after, doing endless things that people do, he finally made a little separate garden for the groundhog family, because they were now started out with one, and then there was a female, and then there were 5 babies, and now they have their own little garden. So I think that
They know that
they mostly stayed
yes.
there because it was accessible and easy. Yeah.
Yes, if you create a separate garden, they'll go to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So beautiful. So now we are going to have time for prayer requests. If you have seen, Linda just went around with the red prayer slips. I'll open up the box. This is a time, affirmative prayer and meditation have been a part of Unity teaching since the movement began 130 years ago. You can email your prayer requests as per the address on the screen, or write them here, put them in the box, or just hold them in your heart. And all requests that are written are confidential and prayed over here at UCM for 30 days, then sent to Silent Unity, where they are prayed over for an additional 30 days. So let's enjoy some music while we be with our prayers and or email them. Thank you, Sky.